voice via. Hello, friends and fans. Yes, this is me, and this is my voice for the day. It has nothing to do with helium balloons. I just don't have a voice. But welcome to this week's edition, our episode of Great Employees Matter, the program that focuses on employees and helping them move from average to great, and also works with employers to remind them and teach them how to appreciate their employees, their most valuable asset. Today, excuse me, man, I sound like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, you're making it seem like we put you on here on purpose.
I apologize. But today we have another phenomenal guest. I know, we get comments every week about the guests that we have on. Last week, Shar Curry just received accolade after accolade after accolade, and that probably tells us that a lot of men watch our show. But this week we have Mr. Russell Thomas. Russell has over 40 years in just general business. Yeah, well, we'll let him tell you his background because it's very interesting and brought us where he is today. But as we say in our thumbnail card describing him, he's the employee that every boss wants and the leader that every team needs. So that's really the focus of today's conversation. With that, excuse me, I'm going to turn it over to Toby, and he's not going to let me talk for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, you left it up to me. I was trying not to get you to talk for the beginning, but you wasn't having it. But yeah, Jimmy's voice is out, guys. Welcome to Great Employees Matter. My name is Kobe. I got Lloyd with us, and if you heard Jimmy's with us, and we got a special guest named Russell Thomas. And I'm excited to talk to Russell today. But before I do that, make sure you like, subscribe, and engage in the community. We're growing. We got lots of good stuff coming, and let's get into the show with that. So first, I want to just say welcome to the show, Russell, and how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show.
I'm sorry, say that again. I just turned your mic on. So how you doing today?
Here you go. I'm doing great. And I appreciate you having me on the show. So I'm looking forward to the questions that you all might have for me.
All right. Well, I want to start right out in the beginning and just asking you've had a pretty diverse career and have done a lot of things. So just starting out, how do you define legacy in the workplace?
I think you can define legacy in the workplace not only by your work ethic, but those tangibles that people don't see all the time, behind the scenes, making sure that things go well. It's just like with you all show, you do a lot of behind the scenes things in order to make, and it is a very, very good show that you put on a weekly basis.
Appreciate that. And so with that, tell us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? Where did you come from? Are you from Las Vegas?
I'm originally from Chicago and born and raised. And from there, I went into the military, and that's where I got some diversity as far as careers. Prior to that, in Chicago, just doing what you could in order to succeed.
What led you to the military? Was your upbringing rough, or why did you go there? You're laughing now, so I don't know why you're laughing. Why are you laughing? What brought you to the military?
Because I was the only guy in the house, and I had to get out.
Okay, if you were surrounded by women, that sounds like my childhood. Two sisters in the household, and that's enough for it to be hell.
Mm-hmm. I had 7. From time to time.
I'm so sorry. You had 7? Okay, I don't know if I could deal with 7 different personalities on the female gender, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep, loved them all, but I was like, get out.
Okay, so the military took you out of the household,
Mhm.
and what made you transition into the medical field and military into business development and mentoring? What made you switch over? Because I know you as a business mentor, you're a great connector. You've actually connected us with several people, several impactful people. What took you into that?
Well, it took me into the military, and um, initially I was an air traffic controller, and I did that here at Nellis Air Force Base. Then I worked in the comm squadron, and then from there got into the surgical field, and eventually got into the field of orthopedics.
Yeah, speaking of your medical history in the field of orthopedics, you came over here a couple of months ago. I had a back pain, and it's a knot I've been struggling with for I don't know a long time, and I don't know what you did. It has not come back. Time you spent with me, where did you get that skill from?
In my indoctrination into the field of orthopedics, I had a supervisor by the name of Al Cleveland, who was a phenomenal orthopedic technician. To this day, I still have not found somebody that was as knowledgeable and as fun as this guy. So um, he made sure that I was well read in the field of orthopedics, but he also interjected humor with how we practice. So he taught me trigger points, massage therapy, um, how to put on cast splints, braces, so on and so forth. And then I had phenomenal doctors as well that made sure that I understood the principles behind orthopedics.
Okay.
So they taught me a lot as well.
That's awesome. So I want to switch gears a little bit and get into the employee side a little bit,
Mhm.
and talk to our network before I turn it over to Jimmy. So I'm gonna open it up. In your 35 years of working with teams, what's the difference between a good employee and a great one, in your opinion?
I think good employees, they come in, they do the job and do it well. Where great employees have that foresight and vision to make sure that they leave things better than what they were. For example, when I was in the military, there was a chief that said he hated every single assignment that he was sent to in the military. But one of the things was is that he said you should always make things better than what you found them. And I took that to heart.
Yeah, it shows in your work and what you're doing around us and in the community and how you share and how you give to others and it's real evident. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Jimmy. Jimmy, are you able to talk or should I just skip you over and go right to Lloyd?
I am able to talk.
All right, so let me turn your mic.
Yes,
Yeah, please do turn Jimmy's mic back on.
okay. So, Mr. Thomas. Yeah, I've known you for a little bit now, and we are impressed with your background, your history, your passion for helping people. Right, in order to be the transition from ATC to being on the orthopedic team is an interesting one. But I suspect that part of that was because there's something inside of you that likes to help people. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I also know that I've heard a story of someone in your early life that taught you the value of integrity because we see integrity
Mm.
out of you all the time. So can you tell us about that person if you're comfortable and tell us how he was able to impact you and how integrity is so integral to your daily life.
It started with uh, him seeing me as my neighbor, and he said two words to me, "Hey, boy," and that's where the relationship and friendship developed. Um, he was a very stoic person. However, he took me underneath his wing and he showed me a lot of things as far as how to build stuff. Um, I remember days digging post holes so that we could put his fence up, and it seemed like every time we did it's like the construction here in Las Vegas. Every time you do it, then you see that they're redoing the same area. So he he just taught me so many principles in life, but and this was in conjunction with my mother because my mother taught me a lot about discipline, um, with the backhand, of course, and and just kidding, not really, no,
Nah,
just
really.
kidding. But you know, this man made a definite difference in my life. Um, he would tell me different things. As far as different principles, he would also show me different things. So not only did he talk to you, but he led by example. And that was one of the things that I picked up. And another thing that I picked up from him was as he was showing me on the streets of Chicago, and he talked to people, and they would come up to him. He'd look at them, listen to their problems, and say, "I'll take care of that." And that's one of the things that has stuck with me over these years.
And I would trust that you looked at him as a mentor, right?
Yes,
And we all believe at Great Employees Matter that mentors are important and valuable, but they're most valuable when the mentee pays attention to what the mentor has taught them. So how did you take that lesson of integrity into the workplace?
so as far as on the streets of Chicago, making sure that if I was cutting somebody's grass, making sure that looked top notch. If I was shoveling somebody's snow, making sure that they did not have to go back and or talk about the work that um, I had just done for them. And even at Baskin Robbins, growing up, it carried over where I started with them in July, and by September, they had made me um, a night watch assistant. So um, it's just the principles that he taught, my mom taught, that helped me become the person that I am.
Did that make it easier for you to transition into the service then? Because obviously that's one thing that they teach, right? Because they need that from the servicemen, right? From the people that serve our country. And thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
But,
I appreciate
but
it.
they need that. Did you find instances in um, while you're in the military where there were some individuals that had a longer, harder road to hoe in order to learn integrity and how it affects them and their fellow servicemen?
Well, I wouldn't say so much integrity. It's just when you are younger, um, you have your own ideas, and young, wild, crazy, don't think. Um, but when you have good mentors like Al Cleveland, Mike Dobson, um, who was my supervisor in Alaska, when you have people of those calibers uh, helping you, then it makes it easy when you do listen. And,
And follow the rules.
well, sometimes you have to break the rules, you know. And trust me, in my military career, I've broken several rules. But you know, the thing is that they explain to you, you know, what has occurred, how you can fix it, and also that if you need their help, they are there for you. And I think that's the as far as being a leader, supervisor, um, that's what you should be doing for those that you're taking care of, because they truly work with you. They, a lot of people say, well, your employees work for you. No, they work with you, because you have to work as a team in order to accomplish the missions. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I turn it over to Lloyd, you were raised in Chicago,
mhm.
100, you said 101st Street. So that's
The
probably,
Y100s, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, South Side.
so, so is it possible that your mentor's name was Badly Word Brown?
No,
Okay.
it was Lloyd Moore. Yep.
Oh, yes.
So,
With that, we'll pass it over to Lloyd.
yep. So, yeah, with that said, hey, Lloyd, how are you?
All right, buddy. How's things?
Well, yep.
Glad to hear it. Hey, a couple things. I wanted to dovetail a little bit on what you were talking about earlier. Perhaps one of the greatest comments I ever heard about integrity came from one of my mother's 8th-grade English students, who, in response to a prompt, wrote that integrity was doing homework assigned on the last day of school. Because obviously, if it was assigned on the last day of school, nobody would ever know whether or not you did it. And this was integrity to an 8th grader. And I've always remembered that, and I've loved that. I also have a comment about Chicago. Absolutely, positively, one of my favorite towns to go party in. Love the steakhouses and the fact that you can smoke a cigar at Ditka's right at the table. And then going over to Rush Street for some great jazz or great live music. Okay, now for you, listening to you speak about your jobs, air traffic controller and medicine, those are high pressure, very meticulous, very detail oriented jobs. So my question is, I assume you are a detail oriented person. And if you are, how do you maintain that for any length of time?
Well, as far as being detail oriented, I believe that I was, but like with air traffic control, um, I was a not a tower controller. I was a scope dope, as they would call it, and we just looked at it, the planes, the people, the lives, that you wanted to make sure that they were safe as you were controlling traffic. And sometimes, be quite honest, I looked at it as a video game because it was a scope. So, you put two together, that's your tail. However, you want to make sure that you didn't. So, and then when it came to the field of orthopedics, once again, always injecting humor in order to get the mission accomplished, even sometimes when it was very difficult to get it done. And that I have to attribute to, once again, having great mentors in the field of orthopedics, and my doctors that initially introduced me, indoctrinated me into the field of orthopedics. Um, Tim Graven, Shelby Carter, Scott Hodges, Jay Winnick. So um, they made sure that you knew what you needed to know. And they did not accept anything less than excellence. So um, I truly appreciate that. I hated the nights where they would make me study which was pretty much all the time. And then when you went to surgery with them, they didn't want to hear no excuses. They want to be able to put their hands out and you give them the right instrument at the right time. And eventually it became, not only once you were able to do that, it became the instrument at the right time. And then with you seeing surgeries, casting, splinting over and over, being able to make suggestions in order make things better. And especially when they're focused on the surgery, and then you say something to them, and they pause, think about it, and says, "Oh yeah, that might work." So um, I have to attribute my transition from just a regular surgical technician slash orthopedic technician to what somebody told me in the field, that I had done everything in the field of orthopedics.
So, Russell, I want to be your mentee. I want to be the guy. My kids will be the first to tell you that I have all the patience of a fuzzy caterpillar. And you have gone through, and as you say, there's two jobs where there's absolutely positively no room for error. You literally have people's life in their hands. So pretend I'm your mentee. And what kind of things should I be doing? Or what kind of assist can you give me so that I can become more detail oriented?
Make sure you study first and foremost the information that we give you. Listen, opposed to speaking all the time, which sometimes I have a problem with. But and then letting them know that you are there for them as um, not only their supervisor, but in those times where they're learning, in those difficult times, that you're there for them as a friend, somebody who wants to help, so that they can see. And the big thing is leadership by example. And that was one of the things that I learned, especially from Mike Dobson. He walked it like he talked it. Um, he used to say that he was the meanest SOB on the first floor. However, if you ever needed anything from him, he was there. And so I used to, I took that to heart without all the cussing. So even though I cuss like a sailor, um, but when it came to my troops, actually, my first troop, Ginger McCracken, um, who became the first chief master sergeant in our career field. Um, I used to talk with her, make her laugh, sometimes make her cry, but she knew that I was there for her. You know,
That's such a great answer and so heartfelt. And it comes through. I just have one more quick question before I get to the patented "Great Employees Matter" softball question, which I have for you today in three parts. By the
okay.
way, if you see Jimmy and Kobe fastly running out of the room, you'll know why, because they like it when I give them a heads up. Um, if you could talk only for just a couple of minutes, because again, I'm absolutely positively loving your heartfelt answers and your advice. How does a guy in a high pressure job like that, where there is absolutely no room for error and everybody's demanding perfection, how did you handle the periods where you got down, where somebody made you sad, or you were depressed, or things weren't going well? How did you overcome that obstacle?
Well, the way that you overcome the obstacle is because of your past experiences, your character. Um, because there were times in my military career where um, people had done some things, and which really made me sad and actually mad, um, where I had to ground myself in order to say, well, what can I do to make this better? Um, so I think that in life in general, when you have things that try to bring you down, just remember to fight. And it doesn't mean that you physically fight with somebody or yourself, but you dig down deep inside of you and say, hey, I'm going to take charge of this. And that was one of the things that Mr. Moore taught me. You know, you don't always have to fight physically, but in your mind, you have to say, hey, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to put my hard hat on. I'm going to bring my lunch and I'm going to make this work. And I also attribute that to, like I said, Mike Dobson, who was my supervisor up in Alaska. And as far as the field of orthopedics, I am thankful that I did that along with multiple other disciplines in medicine, but in particular the field of orthopedics, because most of it is black and white. And so somebody falls on an outstretched hand and has a fracture, so you put them in a cast. If it's worse than that, then you take them to surgery. But the beauty of that is to make sure that the patients understand that you are there for them. You want to see them get back to their normal activities. And I think that's just in general in life. When you go through a deep, dark period, you just want to understand that you need to fight and that you will handle the situations that you're in. And I've had numerous of those situations on my journey in life. So I appreciate the question.
You're an inspiration, and the advice that you're giving. There are people out there who are saying what a mentor you are, and I join the others in thanking you for your service. Before I let you go, we have the Great Employees Matter softball question. This is the question that you're supposed to be able to answer without thinking. This is the question that you can answer at 2:00 in the morning after being out at Rush Street all night. So here is it. You get to choose. We have 3 questions for you. You only need to answer one. You get to choose which one you want to answer. The first question is, after all your experience in air traffic controller, would you fly into Newark Airport at this point in time? Is that now safe? The second question is, with regards to your medical experience, what can we do to fix medicine in the United States of America? Should we go to socialized medicine, or should we try to fix the existing system? And the third question is, living and growing up in a house with all those girls, what was it like never being able to see the bathroom? And that's your choice of which of those 3 you wish to answer.
I will definitely answer the third one, because if I did not get up at 4:00 in the morning, sometimes I did not see the restroom. Because once again, like I said, I love my family. I truly do. But, you know, we had one bathroom. So one bathroom for 8 people was a little difficult at times.
Especially on Sunday, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with 7 girls, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
I'm gonna add that I only share one bathroom with one woman, and I barely get to see it.
mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yeah. And that and by the way, my daughter is sitting here today, and so she realizes, like, when we purchased our home, we had 3 bathrooms in the home. 4, a half bath and 3 full baths, because I was like, no, I will not go through this.
Yeah, it's like having PTSD.
Yeah. No, I can't get into the bathroom. I gotta go to school.
Yeah, so that's got to be traumatizing. Man, so look, I want to go to the comments real quick and go back to a couple of comments. Dale, who's one of our loyal followers, thank you for being here, Dale. We love you, man. Thank you. He said that where did it go? He said that do you find it difficult to work with the person who expects a hook on what they accomplish? Your message today makes me feel you never expect a hook back. And you know what? Before you answer that, I want to agree with them, because when we met you, it was always seemed like it was the cup was pouring out. And I think I might even mention to you, we're gonna have to fix that. But you're always pouring out. So do you ever expect a hook back? I think that's the question.
I think in the universe, the universe will take care of me. However, reality does set in. You got to eat.
Oh, yeah, that's a fact.
So, but for the most part, when I give people information, in order to help them build their businesses, put them in touch with other people, networking, I do it because I want to see them succeed. And when you have a giver's heart, giver's gain, then it does open you up for being vulnerable. However, once again, you go back to, I've got to continue to do things that I know what are right. So, it becomes an integrity issue, because you want to make sure that those people that you interact with daily or just in the moment, you listen to them, because that is a big part of medicine. You have to listen to the patients. And if you don't listen to the patients and you just apply the principles, sometimes you're going to miss things. So when you're listening to people, just like with Jimmy, when we first interacted, I listened to and I'll let him explain what he was telling me as far as his injury. I listened to him, and then I asked several questions, and then I told him what to expect. And just like with you, Kobe, I listened to you. And so had I not listened to you, I might have been, your lower back, your neck, so on and so forth, instead of untriggering the problem that you had.
And I want to jump in and give a testimonial to the fact that you did listen to me. The counsel that you gave me accelerated my recovery. I 2 weeks ago got a notification from my orthopedic doctor that I was recovering remarkably, and I attribute that to the things that you taught me that day, the questions to ask, the things not to do, like have surgery, so you have my testimony there. I want to give you accolades. I know that recently you have been asked to be a trainer for a large group of orthopedic surgeons and technicians. So that's a credit to your experience and your reputation in the industry. And I'd also like to comment on the fact that you use humor in your treatment, I'll call it. But I do want to say that it doesn't always work, because when you came here and you adjusted Kobe, I watched what you did, and you slapped him upside of the head, and he said, "Oh, I feel better." I've been doing that just about every week since that happened, and every time I slap him on the head, I don't get that same reaction. So either your humor is different than my humor, but your humor seemed to work and mine doesn't.
That's because you didn't see me pull out my belt. Kobe, you gonna take this. No.
Y'all really think I'll be over here getting my donkey whooped? No, that's so funny. Jimmy doesn't, he's not physical, but as you can hear by his voice, y'all know what happened.
Yeah, we know what happened.
He's just a yeller, that's all.
Yeah.
So, but with that, I want to say, first, let me make sure I'm on. you're obviously a great leader, and I love what you're talking about. I actually like the calmness in what you're saying. You work with a lot of people, a lot of networking, a lot of big people, teams, and things like that, and you're training a lot of people. What do you think that people want from their leaders today, especially in how fast the work environments are changing, and they're changing in dynamic ways? What do you think that people are looking for as far as being led?
Unapologetic, excuse me, I can't even talk.
Unapologetic.
Unapologetic truth. Um, and when you give it to them in such a way that they can understand it, not just you as the boss, and you're browbeating them. I can give you an example um, from my military career. When I went to Alaska, um, Mike Dobson, he was like, I'm going to tell you and I'm going to show you. And if you mess up, I'm going to pull you aside in my office and we're going to discuss it. However, when we come out, it's forgotten unless you do it again. And so when you approach things as far as leadership by example, going the extra mile, showing them that you can do everything that you're asking them to do, then I think that resonates with people who work for and with you.
Thank you for that, Jim. That's something that we would like to take when we go out and work with our clients. And maybe we'll just have you come out and share some of your knowledge and leadership skills with them.
Thank you.
I want to continue and ask you, as far as employees, what do you think? What do you think is important as far as them being able to take on a leadership role, even if they don't carry one? Do you think that's important in an employee's journey?
I think it is. And I think that you have to give them the latitude in order to be able to lead when they don't see themselves as a leader. For example, I had a troop when I was in Maryland. I would give her additional tasks, and she would complain about it all the time. So finally, she asked me. She says, "Why in the world are you giving me more tasks than everybody else?" Because I see you. I see the potential. And she became one of the best NCOIC's managers in the military. So when you see that, and you have to look at not only them as an employee, but what happens if you fall off the face of the earth?
Yeah.
Who's going to take over? Who's going to do the job? And more importantly, who's going to do the job and make it better than what they found it and what they had to work with?
So I think your part of the journey is mostly you try to make sure somebody can step into the shoes that you have and help people in the way that you have. What would you tell somebody that is, and this is for employers, really, this is really a question for employers because I think this happens a lot. What would you tell that employee that feels undervalued at work but really wants to take on leadership roles and be a force?
I would tell employees, because I've been there, where you feel undervalued, unappreciated, so on and so forth. This is where your integrity comes in. This is where your resolve comes in, is that you continue to do what you're doing in order to make the overall team, wherever you're at, better. Because the supervisor over you might not see it. And I know I've had this happen to me. the supervisor might not see it, but then somebody else does, and they normally don't talk to you about it. They just figure out how to create opportunities for you in order to get you to excel to a different level.
Yeah, I understand that thoroughly, man. I had several mentors, which, in my opinion, I think mentors are the best thing that you could ever put into your life throughout your life at all stages. But with that, I'm gonna go and hand it over to Jimmy. Jimmy, I think Lloyd popped out, so it's just me and you. And I was gonna skip you because you can't talk, but I'm gonna go ahead and put
I can't talk. I certainly can't talk very well. But we
know.
we probably should do a little appreciation of our sponsor, and I would have to throw it back to you to talk about Waylot. But before we do that, I want to send a shout out to Vicky Lynn Mahana Campbell. Vicky, I just now noticed that you were listening to the show, and I saw that Kobe said thanks for being on the show, or for being in the audience. So for those of you in the audience, Vicky is a realtor here, and she teaches realtors how to do their jobs better.
What's up, Vicky? Because I know you too. What's up?
So
How you doing, Vicky?
So Kobe, would you mind just going ahead and doing a Waylot?
Yeah, I'll do a Waylot read. I actually created one. So what if you can find everything that you're leaving on the table with your company? And we have a company that we deal with. It's called Waylot, and it's called What Are You Leaving on the Table? You do an assessment, and I think it's beneficial for all businesses, but they really focus on big business that's doing big money because they find 69 times your income in what you could be recovering. They guarantee it. So go to waylot.com, waylott.com, and just do the assessment. The assessment is free, and you can figure out what you're leaving on the table. Jimmy?
Thank you. And since Lloyd's not on the phone, I do have one other question. Can you tell us about your faith? And I'll let you decide whether it's your faith that's in your heart or your faith that's in the room. And here's your opportunity to shine as a dad on Father's Day week.
As far as my faith, I definitely believe in the universe, that what you put out there will return to you. But as far as my daughter, she is definitely my heart. I made sure that she was better than what I was growing up, and that she was able to have multiple opportunities. And one of the big things, and I'll share this with you all, because I don't know who my father is. And I wanted to definitely let her know who her father was and making sure that she was safe. So yes, I love taking care of my faith.
Okay, that's my Father's Day gift to everybody listening. I never knew my father. I didn't know who my father was until I was 63 years old. And it's also important to me to be there for my children. So I applaud you for that. Thank you, for Faith, for being such a great daughter. And with that, we can go into shameless self-advice.
Yep, because we know when you get the crying, it's time to go. The tears, the waterworks just started.
He's like, oh my God, he touched me.
Yeah, that's
and not in a bad way.
No, never. It's never in a bad way. It's really genuine with him. I believe he's more of an empath than I am, but I usually try to stop him because he'll get me crying too. Mm-hmm. But Selfless Shameless Promotion, man, where can people find you? How can they connect with you? And do you have anything coming up?
Matter of fact, as we were talking, I will eventually have my website finished, and it will be greatconnector.com. So, because I like helping people, and not only did medicine teach me that, but the military also taught me that. And my next door neighbor, through his example, um, with him carrying me around, people coming up and talking to him, and one of his favorite sayings that I remember, I'll take care of that. So um, it, I'm looking forward to you all being able to come and talk to me and figure out how we can do business. And but right now, if you want to reach out to me, you can text me at my phone number, which is 725-305-0025. You have to tell me who you are, because if you don't tell me who you are, things don't get done. Um, so that is the best way to get in touch with me and see how I can help you, and that um, we can help our community grow and become strong and take care of each other.
And I'd like to add to that. When you talk about being the great connector, that's not just about business networking. Right? A lot of people assume that you're a good networker, and you are. You're a great networker, but you're a great connector because it goes so far beyond just the business environment. That's why you just made the request that they tell them who you are, not your name, but who you are, who the person is, what is it that's important in your life, what makes you tick, right? Because regardless of the business that you're in or the relationships that you have, you, Russell Thomas, are able to take that and say, to take our guest from last week, Char Curry, you had noticed that, no, I shouldn't say this. Can I say something?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't know. You scare me sometimes.
Just say it. No.
I was listening on here and it's delayed.
That you noticed that it was that she had a bunion, that she was limping a little bit, and you immediately went to her and said, "Hey, I think I might be able to help you," and you connected her with a solution to her problem. So you had this ability to just take everybody and fill your room with people, ideas, businesses, concepts, and then make the right connections. So I think that's your biggest quality, Russell. And for all of our listeners, especially those that are here locally, if you want to get into Russell's circle, give him a call, tell him who you are, what you do, and I can almost guarantee that he will find a connection for you, because he is the great connector.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah.
You're a selfless servant, Russell, and we definitely appreciate you coming into the show and spending some time with us and our audience. I think that you gave some great messages for not only just our employees but our employers as well. And we try to touch on both sides of it. But thanks for being a great leader and a connector. Thanks for your service. I look forward to our future communication and business ventures. And let's just stay grounded. Jimmy, do you have any last words?
Just thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming into our circle. Thank you for being part of our family now. Now that you podcast with us, you're a member of our family. We look forward to growing alongside you.
And would you like to say anything to the audience? Why don't you leave them with one last, golden nugget that they can take into their lives of being a leader and a selfless servant?
Okay. And you basically said it. But before that, I want to say thank you very much for having me on. I'm glad that the universe put me in your path and vice versa. Service before self. You know, how can I be a service to you? How can I help you? And trust me, I have a whole bunch of crazy up in this head that, you know, ideas, so on and so forth. As I'm listening, I'm trying to figure out how I can help you and who I can put you in touch with that is of quality, because you want to make sure that you're not just connecting them to people who um, talk a good game, but will listen to them as well and deliver um, quality service to them on their journey.
Well, it's funny you said that, and I'm going to take this time for a little bit of shameless self promotion. We're actually putting together an affiliate program for our company, and it's designed to do just what you're saying, being able to honor people who are connectors and make sure people are squared and taken away, as well as the person that's doing the service. So we want to make sure that anybody that's doing business with us, for us, bring us anything, they're going to benefit in that same journey. And our program is finished. It's not ready for me to advertise out yet, but it is finished. I am going to add you. You know, we just started a community with our Podcast Excellence Academy, and there's some revenue benefits there too, just for sharing the community. So we're definitely going to come up with some ways to be able to help you even more recover the services and the special things that you do for people. And I think it's important. You know, Dale was asking about a hook, if you had a hook. And I don't think you have a hook. And most people, it's not necessarily a hook. It's that I look at it as you're taking care of people.
Mhm.
And you can't take care of people unless you're able to take care of yourself as well. Otherwise, nobody gets taken care of unless you don't get taken care of. So if you're providing that kind of a service out to the people, I tell you, people that's receiving your gifts and your benefit and your knowledge and your inspiration, they have no problems helping. They have no problems paying. And so we're gonna try to help put you in that boat and go from there. But it's an honor to have you on the show, Jimmy.
Amen.
And
Thank you all very much for watching us today, for enjoying my voice, tolerating it.
They had no choice.
And before we end, can I say one more thing?
You
Yes,
can.
sir.
I want to say thank you to the coffee drinkers. You know who you are if you're watching this podcast. It's an inside joke. Thank you very much for being on here. And like I said, I appreciate Shar being out here to support. I also appreciate my daughter coming out to learn and support. Um, and then thank you once again, Jimmy, Kobe, Bonafide, for being out
Lloyd.
here. And Lloyd.
Yeah, he left,
And
so
Lloyd.
we're still gonna put him in there.
Yeah.
And
But-
Lloyd.
But no worries, man. Thank you. And so with that, Great Employees Matter. Please like, subscribe. We're gonna have guests like this every single week. If you know anybody that want to be a guest on the show, please let us know. You can email me at Kobe, Koby, at greatemployeesmatter.com. And remember, greatness, excellence, motivation, always be a gem.
Have a great week, everybody.